Hi guys, I trust we are all okay. It is a beautiful day, and this beautiful day basically I want to bring you to speed on the changes in taxation. And at this point, I want to look at it from the angle of students will be sitting for tax. That is includes those who are sitting for tax in any unit in Kasneb which has tax, those who are doing basically some courses in Kestra, right? So you'll find that these are the effects that will be basically that will affect us from 2024 exams. Because what you must be able to understand that for tax purposes, these are how things are always being done. We'll find that looking back in 2023, all the aspects of tax, unless you are given that specific date, when you are looking at 2023, the effects for tax, basically we're looking at the Act of 2022, right? So now, because we are in 2024, you realize that a lot of things are going to change. We have a new act, Finance Act, which was passed then in 2023. So it would be very ideal that you should be able to understand that if in this case you'll be doing any exams in taxation, regardless of which course you're doing, but it has a component of tax, you'll find that you're going to be affected directly with the changes that were done in 2023. So you're talking about what? The Finance Act 2023. You're going to be affected with these changes. So that is to say, for students who are doing tax, you must be updated with these new changes. And many a times I normally tend to advise my students that you should always tend to be updated. So that is to say, majority of the notes that you are using, some of the areas in tax that we used in 2022, they are irrelevant, or rather the one that we used in 2023, actually just last semester, they are irrelevant. Why? Because they are new changes which you must be updated, right? So at this point, I'll want to look at some few areas. I know I won't be able to look at all the areas in this video, but I'll want to touch on the most basic and common areas, which ideally they normally tend to affect us a lot. So area number one that I'll want us basically to have a look at, area number one that I want us to have a look at, basically this is a component of a restriction of interest expenses. This concept that at least you must be having an idea. This is a restriction. Talk about restriction of interest expenses. Restriction of interest expenses. I'll be listing them. Some of the changes that at least you must be having them at your fingertips. We're having basically the concept of a deferral of foreign exchange losses. Talk about deferral. These are deferral of foreign exchange losses, of foreign exchange losses. This is a new concept as per the Finance Act, which will affect you guys directly. Also, we'll be talking about changes to taxation of employment income. Talk about changes to taxation, changes to taxation of employment income, Remember, I'm just listing some of the areas that you must be very familiar with as per the changes of Finance Act. We'll also be having additional taxable employment gains. We'll be having some of the additional, talk about additional taxable employment gains, additional taxable employment gains, okay? The other point that I also want to basically bring you to speed is in relation to non-taxable employment gains. Some of our non-taxable employment gains, non-taxable employment gains. I know we have been studying and also looking at these employment gains and unemployment gains. But remember, with these changes, that is to say, you must up your game, right? You must up your game. Also, the other key area that I also want us to have a look at, basically, this is in relation to computing of market value of shares. So this one is a more of a practice, but it's also very key. These are computing market value of shares, computing market value of shares, computing market value of shares under employee share ownership plans. Under employee share ownership plan, right? Ownership plan, okay. Also, some of the other key changes that at least you must be very familiar with, which will affect us directly. We'll also be talking about aspect to do, of course, with turnover tax, TOT, the turnover tax. This one, remember, will also affect us directly. We'll also be talking of the digital asset tax, digital asset tax, digital asset tax, right? DAT. So for students, of course, I've just listed a few. These are what will affect students, but there are so many other changes that will affect us when it comes to practice, because some are effective from January 2024. Remember this, the one that I've listed here, basically, these were effective from basically July 2023 last year, meaning that now those doing examinations in 2024, any exams in tax, then these will affect you guys directly. So these are the changes. And at this point, maybe I might not look at all of them, but I wish to talk of basically aspect to do with deferral of foreign exchange losses. Maybe you can talk about changes to taxation on employment income, and of course some of the additional taxable employment income. And by the way, these are good news, more so to to us men, right? Those who have married, right? Basically, you'd find that initially the income of your wife was deemed to be yours if at all you're having engagement that you are relating to with her. But with effect, basically, with this Finance Act, in this case, I can say you're saved, right? Because in this case, you find that this income literally will be taken will be charged to your wife directly, but not on you, right? I'll be giving you guys details on that as we proceed. Also, that one is among the changes that will affect us. Remember when you are talking about the wife's income, right? This is for students who are doing tax. Remember that effect. But right now, there's that reversal, which as we proceed, I'll also be guiding you on the same. So let me start with changes to taxation of employment income. Let me start with this first of all. So that as we proceed, you'll be very good to go. So number one, we're seeing that I want us to talk about changes. This is important. Changes to taxation of employment income. Changes to taxation of employment income. Changes to taxation of employment income. Okay, this is very key to understand, my good students, because remember, like what you are using back in 2023, basically we are using this individual graduated scale rate, whereby we are talking, of course, of 1 to, this is a previous graduated scale rate. We are using previous graduated scale rate, scale rate, right? When you are computing our employment income, right? Or maybe individual incomes. In this case, we find that basically we are using this scale whereby you are considering these ranges between, of course, 1 to 288,000. Ideally, of course, we are talking over the 10%. Then we are talking over between 288,000 to basically 388,000. In this case, you are talking, of course, of the aspect over 25%. Then you are looking at above 388,000. In this case, we are considering a value of 30%. These are what we used to have. But remember, from 2024, this is January. At any given point, you are computing your employment income for the purposes of taxation. These are what you must consider. These are now the current. This is the current graduated scale rate. What you're supposed to use. Current graduated scale rate. These are what you're supposed to use. Okay. I will be talking of this scale. That is to say, ideally, we are talking of basically 1 to 288,000. Of course, at this point, you're talking about the 10%. Then we'll also be looking at 288,000, 288,001 to 388,000. At this point, we'll be having a value of 25%. Then will be the next value here, of course, should be talk about 388,001 to, that is a scale rate of let me have my calculator to give the exact value, 5612,000 here plus basically a value of 388,000. This should give us to 6 million, right? This should give us to 6 million here. So I'll be having to 6 million. This will be 30%. Then from 6 million and 1 to basically aspect of 9.6. In this case, we should be having 32.5%. Then we'll be talking of excess of 9.6, excess of 9.6. We should be having a value of 35%. See, we should be having a value of 35%. So this is a new or rather the current scale rate that students who are basically doing any paper of tax this year, henceforth, this is a scale rate that we'll be using. This is a scale that we will be using. This is a scale that we'll be using. So this is to say that I know you've been kind of, for this information that has always been there, that you know what, that Finance Act literally has increased basically the aspect of tax, right? So you'll find that in a sense of employment income, these are one angle that we are looking at, right? These are one angle that we are looking at. So increased from 30 to 35%, that is the notion. Because initially, you'll find that at this point, the tax bracket in terms of employment income, or rather individual income, basically was ending up to 30%. But with this new scale rate, you'll find that you are going up to 35%. This is to say, for example, we assume that this person is earning, say, like 10 million, right? Assuming that this person is earning 10 million, right? 10 million annual income of this individual. Annual income of this individual maybe is 10 million. So you want to determine the amount of tax that this person will be required to pay to the Kenya Revenue Authority. So how will you go about it? This will be simple because you'll find that I need to determine these are the ranges. I know you guys know how to use this graduated scale rate. What Mwalimu is doing here is literally to guide us more, right? So in this case, I'll be having the value 288,000. This is what I'm going to subject at the rate of 10%. So I'll just be having my 288 times 10%, which would give us 28,800, right? On the next scale, in this case, I'll be having the 388,000 here minus the 288,000 to give us what? 100,000. So my next scale will be 100,000. We multiply by 25%. So this should give us 25,000, right? The next scale rate I should be having, that is my 6 million here, right? 6 million, we less our 388,000. In this case, I'll be having 5,612,000. We multiply by the 30%, right? So basically my answer times 0.3, this should give us, of course, a value of 1,683,600. Okay, so that the next range will be the difference 9.6 minus 6 million to give us the 3.6. So 3.6 times 32.5%. So I'm having 3.6 times 32 times 0. Of course 325, right? To give us basically 1,170,000. So we can agree and say that the tax up to 9.6, up to 9.6, I'll be having 1170 plus 1683, 600 plus 25,000 plus 28,800. In this case, I should be having a value of 2,907,400, right? So that is to say, this person who is earning up to 9.6 without this is basically without considering the component of personal relief so far is supposed to pay what? 2.9. Then we are taking this case. We've said that we are looking at a scenario whereby I'm having this person earning a value of 10 million. So I'll be having my 10 million here minus 9.6. The difference now, you take your 10 million, okay, you less your 9.6, which will give us basically 10 million here minus 9.6. This should give us a value of 400. So I'll be having my 400,000 times 35% to give us a value of what? 140,000, right? 140,000. So in this case, I should be having 2907,400 here to give us a value of 3047,400. So this is to say, my good students, that at any given point from 2020, basically, of course, for exams purposes, we are applying it from this year, but remember this was with effect from basically January, right? So this is to say, this was the effect from July last year, sorry. So in this case, you'll find that this person will be required to pay 3,047,400. Then you deduct, of course, your personal relief. So you'll find that this is how the current graduated scale rate, which you guys will be expected to use. And remember, this we've said any student doing tax, of course, also the BBA students, you're also doing tax, right? So this is also very ideal for you guys. So this is one scenario. If at all you can compare with what you used to have, you'll find that basically this person will be paying more, right? Which I want you to do that comparison at your own time. So this is one area of the changes that you guys must always be very keen with, more so with these new changes, okay? So after we are done with that, then maybe you can talk about the other change, which is also very ideal. You can talk of this other change, which at least you must be having it at your fingertips as well. Remember by now, whenever you hear about employment income, right? You are very familiar with the concept to do with the taxable employment benefits and untaxable employment benefits. We have a list explaining all these items. But in addition to what we'll be having, there are these new changes that you should be having them at your fingertips. Number one, we are talking about additional taxable employment gains. There is this additional taxable employment gains. In addition to what we've been having, you must have this in your list. You must add this in your list. So you're having additional taxable. These are additional taxable employment gains. Additional taxable employment gains. These are very key. Okay, additional taxable employment gains. What will this entail? What will this entail? This will entail this item that you normally refer to it as what? The club entrance and subscription fees. Club entrance, and subscription, club entrance and subscription fees. How is this effective and how is it different from what we used to have? Remember, initially, at any given point in time, whenever we were having this payment, which were being done on our behalf as employees, in this case, this wasn't considered as a taxable benefit. But with effect from this year, this actually, practically, this was from 1st July 2023. But for taxation students who will be doing the exams, in this case, you must have this in mind. Hence, from now all through, any basically problem of tax that you'll be solving, you should be having this in mind. So that is to say, this time round, this will be what? A taxable benefit to you as an employee if this is deducted in the books of who? In the books of the employer. So therefore, this is what? A taxable benefit. This is a taxable benefit. This is a taxable benefit. Okay? Then we also have another key item, non-taxable employment benefit. Non-taxable employment benefit. Non-taxable employment benefit. Okay? Non-taxable employment benefit. This is to say that initially this was being taken as taxable benefit. But with these new changes, this will be taken as what? Non-taxable benefit. You're talking about what? You're talking about traveling allowances. I know you're happy. I know you're happy. Traveling allowances. Remember, initially we used to treat traveling allowances as basically aspect of taxable gains, taxable employment gains, right? But at this point, from the Finance Act 2023, and of course with effect to you students, what will be affecting you, I'll be having what? I'll be having this as what? Non-taxable employment benefit. We have so many changes, which ideally, I wish I could have shared with you guys in this video, all of them, including the aspect of the digital asset tax. Remember, there is this aspect of digital asset tax. Digital asset tax. Digital asset tax, right? DAT. This is a new concept that I know even Kasneb might taste it this April. Kasneb, I'm requesting you to test this concept. Yeah, I know you guys for Kasneb, you're seeing my videos, so I'm requesting you to set this, the digital asset tax. Digital asset tax, a very interesting area whereby I think I'll explain this in our next class because I have a lot to share with you guys when it comes to matters to do with what? Changes in taxation. And this is to say, whatever notes that we used in 2023, including the last semester notes, some of the areas will be irrelevant come this semester. So in this case, Molimu is trying to tell you guys that even if you're not using our resources, whichever resources that you'll be using for students who are doing tax, make sure that these resources are updated as per these changes that will affect us. I've just given you a few. Remember when I started, I listed various changes. So you must make sure that at least the notes, the resources that you're using, including the videos, are updated with these new changes. So in this case, basically that is to say that whether notes or videos, they should be updated, of which I want to take this chance and invite you guys. You can join our classes for tax. Remember also BDA has a component of tax. So this is to say students who are doing intermediate level taxation, students who are doing advanced taxation, students who are doing BDA. This is a chance for you to get basically clear updates when it comes to matters to do with taxation. And also for those students who are doing their papers at Kestra, you can always reach us out because tax is just tax. Whichever course that you're doing, those students who are doing NEC, tax is just tax. So you literally can always reach us out and we'll guide you. And for those who are willing to join our classes for taxation, we have two packages for you guys. We have the pre-recorded version, which you control your own timetable. You study when you want to study, right? Then you have the second package, which you join our classes as per our timetable. And for those who wish to join the live classes for tax, if I told you talk of intermediate level, we normally have classes on Wednesdays and Thursdays. From what time? From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Only these 2 days. Are they effective? Yes, they are very effective, right? Then those who are doing advanced level, we normally have classes basically on Saturdays, double session on Saturdays from 6:30 to 10 p.m. Is this enough time to enable us to clear the syllabus? Join us and you're going to experience that. Very, very enough time, which you can clear everything and of course do our revision as well. So I'm having a lot which I wish to share with you guys. I'm having a lot which I wish to share with you guys. But to this point, I wish to wish you a very nice time, and I hope to seeing you guys in our classes. Of course, for any further queries, you can always reach us out. The number is indicated on this video. You see this number here, the 0708 068 851. You can reach us out to that number and we'll be here to assist you guys. So, tax mDarasa. See you then. Have a nice time. Bye bye.